This sound has been the symbol of the Arizona economy for years. As people flowed into Arizona in the 70s and now in the 80s, construction work has provided tens of thousands of jobs just in the valley alone. Even though the economy in some parts of the country is slowing, the population influx is continuing in Arizona. And that means a steady supply of jobs for workers building the homes that all the new Arizonans will need to live in. That was one of the key elements in the first ever Arizona Index of leading economic indicators. Building permits were up in January, meaning building jobs in the months to come. Although in other areas, the employment picture is not as strong.
This corresponds to the recent news in the last 2 months from the Department of Economic Security, who's announced sharp rises in the unemployment rate. In contrast, however, the largest upward influences on the index have come from the national money supply and from the local residential building permits.
The dark cloud hanging over the national economy is the trade deficit. With a strong dollar, manufacturers like Arizona's high-tech companies have a harder time getting other countries to buy their products, since their currency, be it the yen, the franc, or the Deutschmark, is weaker. But the trade deficit won't hurt Arizona in the coming months like it will hurt other states.
The states that are hurt by large trade deficits are your farm states, your oil-producing states, your traditional manufacturing states. These states don't fit the Arizona profile because our economy here is driven by population inflow, by construction, by services.
Lake Pleasant, one of the nicest places for a family picnic on just about any day. But while folks come here to enjoy the scenery or to fish, take a closer look. Under the desert foliage, there are bottles and more bottles. It's the kind of environmental pollution county officials want to stop.
It'll be illegal to come in the park with any glass container that will shatter or break on the ground. And mainly it's designed for beverage containers, Coke bottles, beer bottles, etc. And we'll cite them for having them in their possession in the park.
Rangers have been warning people over the last month, and while they do not plan to search vehicles now, they say you will be better off bringing your drinks in plastic containers or cans. A citation could mean a mandatory court appearance and a possible fine of up to $100 a bottle. That is, if you're caught contributing to this mess, which is almost impossible to clean up.
Anyone that's tried to pick up bottles that have been thrown out of vehicles and stuff know that it's really time-consuming. There's no way we can pick it up. And we have a yearly visitation out here of reaching in excess of 1 million people a year enjoy this park.
Bottles like these in the desert areas and along the roadsides are not only unsightly, but when they break, the pieces of glass take all the fun out of walking barefoot anywhere in this park, particularly along the beach.
Every spring we have hundreds of small children that jump out of their dad's boats, that play along the shore, and they have cut feet, cut ankles, they fall down, cut their hands, and it happens 300 or 400 kids a year up here, and adults that are playing in the water step on the broken glass.
The law against bottles is being enforced in every county park. Marcus Wright, News Center 10.
This is what the Esplanade is supposed to look like when it's finished, if developer Fife Symington gets his way. And there are some people who would like to see him have it, like Debbie Becker, who works at one of the specialty shops in the Biltmore Fashion Park across the street from the proposed project.
I think perhaps when they have time off, lunch hour, they stop for lunch at one of the restaurants here, they'll be stopping in to visit us, and I think we'll really benefit from it.
Gus Moser, manager of an ice cream shop in the same center, agrees. It will be fine after it's built, but during the construction phase...
It would cause a lot of people to want to avoid this area of town, I think, in general.
Across the street, and just south of the development, sits a neighborhood of homes known as Cavalier Campus. They are getting used to seeing construction cranes on the horizon. Buildings are going up almost all around them. These people realize some commercial development will be built there. That's the way it's zoned.
I don't believe anybody on the board is fighting the project. It's just that the density is so large.
But there are those who like what's on the blueprints.
I've been called the slime of the neighborhood, and some of my neighbors ask me how much money is Mr. Symington paying me.
Chip Raymond also lives in this area. He's liked the project from the start and wants to see it built. But he likes it even more now that Symington has offered the Neighborhood Association $1 million for improvements. He calls it the icing on the cake.
The Neighborhood Improvement Fund will enable us to do some improvements that the city will not be able to do for us, and we can do them now. And Mayor Goddard indicated that it was a bribe, and I'm saying to Mayor Goddard it is going to be our neighborhood contribution to the city of Phoenix, and it's not going to cost them a dime.
Some 15,000 people are expected at this weekend's show, which features over 170 travel exhibitors from all over the country. Nothing is actually sold here. This exhibit is for information only. Information about the best travel buys throughout the world.
Europe vacations, of course. The dollar is strong. Britain's another place. The pound is the weakest it's ever been. And you probably saved 30% over what you paid last year. So most of the package tours have come down in price from what they were last year. Mexico is another bargain because the peso is weak, the dollar is strong.
Getting the most for your travel dollar was the main concern of most everyone here.
Certainly. The price, you know, I'm a comparison shopper, I guess you'd say so.
We found the Hawaiian cruises, and then we were looking at going to Europe this summer. Yeah. So we're trying to get information on both to decide which would be the better value.
You get pretty much just the more details in the 85 prices, which is really important to see what the low-cost places are to go.
Many today also found that an interesting summer getaway can be just around the corner, such as the Valley's many Indian reservations.
We have an arts and crafts shop, we have a museum, we have a restaurant, and we have an outside Gila Heritage Park.
A lot of times we have people walking through the door and they say, you know, we pass by here to Tucson back and forth. We never knew this thing was here. So, you know, it's a nice surprise.
This morning, Apache Sunrise became the first ski resort in Arizona to open its slopes to the public. That's because this is the only ski area we have where they actually make their own snow.
Each night we're putting out, maybe 500,000 gallons of water, which equates to several acres of snow. So we're gaining each night on it. And by Thanksgiving, if we don't get any of Mother Nature's natural stuff, we'll have a fair amount, additional stuff that we can go ski with.
Right now, there are only 2 ski runs open, and those only from the midway point on down. The top half of the mountain, including the new Apache Peak Day Lodge, remains closed until they get a little more natural snow.
When Mother Nature gives us another foot of snow, I think we'll be able to start opening up some of the runs that we don't make snow on, and it'll just be every day we'll start adding runs as the snow continues to fall.
With only 2 runs open on this opening day, you might think people would be a little bit disappointed. But those die-hard skiers with whom we spoke, many of whom drove 4 or 5 hours from Phoenix or Tucson to be here, they seem to be having a good time.
How's the snow?
Good. Where you can ski, it's great.
Was it worth
fun for the first day out.
Was it worth the drive?
Yes, it was. Certainly was.
It's better snow than I expect because I heard the report and they said they only had a 6-inch base, and I thought there's going to be rocks all over the slopes, but it's not bad.
Keep waiting for the snow. It's finally come.
Easy credit. Some say it's reached near epidemic proportions in America. Almost 500,000 people filed for bankruptcy last year. And it can start as innocently as ringing up a few more bills than you know you can handle each month.
People have a tendency to be able to incur debt and go along with that debt, and then all of a sudden something happens to them. Medical problem, unexpected pregnancy, layoff, termination of employment. Then one thing like that hits, they're in trouble.
It'll start showing up a lot in this man's office in the next few weeks. He says February is the time when a lot of big charges at Christmas time come due. And suddenly, some find they can't make all their payments.
You know, the people that we see in here are intelligent people. The type of person that we see is usually married with 1 to 2, approximately 2 children. They're employed. They're making $20,000 to $30,000 or more a year. And they're in trouble. And they've made it for years and years, and then all of a sudden something goes wrong in their lives and they need other help.
Here at Consumer Credit Counseling Services, this tree is more than symbolic. Sure, it offers advice for what anyone deeply in debt should do to their credit cards, but it also sports just a handful of the roughly 2,000 pounds of credit cards they figure they've torn up here over the years. Consumer Credit Counseling Services is a non-profit company. It helped almost 4,000 Valley residents last year. Of those, it says 60% needed nothing more than to have a budget drawn up, something they could stick to. Another 20% turned their finances over to the company, which then tries to get creditors to lower monthly payments and drop interest charges. The other 20%, by the way, were beyond help and eventually went bankrupt. But if you see credit problems coming, the sooner you face them, the better.
You know, money problems are just like any substance problem or alcohol problem. Once you admit you have a problem, you're halfway home.
Ron Hoon, News Center 10.
He's one of the huggables who's supposed to be hot this holiday season. Meet his 3 other fur-skinned friends, Boone the beekeeper, Hattie the pie baker, and Farrell the postmaster. Penny's department store predicts they'll be hard to keep in stock. 43 were sold in just one day. These guys are brought to you by the same man who made the Cabbage Patch Kids, those toy store sellouts for the past 2 years. They'll be back again, along with ponies for them to ride, clothes, playpens, and an assortment of accessories just too numerous to mention. Even these Cabbage Patch Kids will have a new look for Christmas. Some will come wearing glasses and showing their first teeth. Also new on the shelves are Wuzzles from the wonderful land of Wuz. There are 6 different characters. Rainbow Bright will be around again this year, along with Carry Me Baby and the traditional Raggedy Ann. Of course, the Queen of Dolldom, Barbie, is back, with a few modern modifications, including a new workout center to keep that plastic fantastic body in shape. Over in the boys section, many strange metallic beings fill the shelves, but any kid will tell you they are transformers. From a war-torn planet, they are able to change their bodies into awesome weapons. They battle other robots like Autobots, Decepticons, and of course, the GoBots. The ultimate robot warrior, though, is Voltron. This year, he'll have 5 lion robots to help him defend the universe. But the #1 boys' toy and top kids' TV show is Masters of the Universe. They'll be back, too, this year with 4 new evil warriors to war with, and new assault vehicles like this Land Shark. These are what kids want today.
It's the imagination, because it's a converter toy. It's 2 in 1. It's a die-cast toy that can become 2 toys. One time it's a war hero, the other time it's a war vehicle, so they can play war with it.
Of course, there are the tamer toys, like the trikes, games, dolls, and this talking bear. Hi there, how are you? What are you doing? Can't understand you. For the big kids, adult VCR games like Clue are expected to be found under a lot of Christmas trees this year.